When James awoke, the sterile smell of antiseptic filled his nostrils, and the harsh fluorescent lights above buzzed like angry wasps. He blinked against the brightness, confusion clouding his mind. Where was he? The last thing he remembered was the cold steel of his prison cell, the distant echoes of other inmates, and then darkness. 3 weeks in a coma, 3 weeks of silence. He swung his legs over the edge of the bed, the cold floor sending a shiver up his spine. The room was empty, save for the medical equipment that beeped softly, a reminder of his fragile existence. He stumbled to the door, heart racing, and pushed it open. The corridor was eerily quiet. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting long shadows that danced along the walls. "Hello?" he called, his voice echoing back at him. No response. Panic began to creep in as he wandered through the desolate halls of the abandoned prison. As he moved deeper into the building, he noticed signs of chaos: overturned chairs, broken glass, and bloodstains that led to the exit. The prison had been evacuated, but why had no one come for him? He felt a chill run down his spine as he recalled the news reports before his coma. Strange creatures invading the world, terrorizing cities, and leaving destruction in their wake. Suddenly, a low growl reverberated through the air, sending him into a panic. He pressed himself against the wall, heart pounding. The sound was close. He peered around the corner and saw it, a massive creature, its skin a mottled gray, ears twitching as it sniffed the air. It had no eyes, but its ears were enormous, capable of hearing the faintest sound. James held his breath, praying it wouldn't find him. He waited until the creature moved away, then sprinted down the corridor, desperate to escape. He reached the prison gate, but it was locked tight. Frantically, he searched for a way out, his mind racing. He remembered the radio in the guard's station. If he could just get it working, maybe he could call for help. As he made his way to the station, he heard another sound, this one high-pitched and fast. He turned just in time to see a smaller creature darting towards him, its eyes wide and predatory. It couldn't hear him, but it could see him. He ducked into a dark room, heart racing as he pressed himself against the wall, praying it wouldn't find him. Hours passed, and the sun began to set. The prison was engulfed in darkness, and the creatures emerged from the shadows. James could hear their growls and the scuttling of the smaller ones. He knew he had to act fast. He made his way to the guard station, praying the radio would still work. He fumbled with the equipment, his hands shaking. After what felt like an eternity, he managed to get a signal. "Mayday, Mayday. This is James, the last prisoner on the island. I need help." His voice crackled through the static, but there was no response. Suddenly, the door burst open, and the giant creature loomed over him. He froze, heart pounding in his chest. It sniffed the air, and in that moment, James realized he was out of time. He bolted for the window, throwing it open, and climbing out onto the ledge. Below, the ocean roared, but he had no choice. He jumped. The water was cold and shocking, but he swam with all his might, heading for the neighboring island. As dawn broke, he finally reached the shore, exhausted but alive. He collapsed on the sand, gasping for breath. Then he looked up. A helicopter hovered above, its blades slicing through the air. Relief washed over him as he waved his arms, but as the pilot lowered the rope, James caught a glimpse of the world beyond the island. Smoke billowed from cities, fires raged, and chaos reigned. The pilot's voice crackled through the radio. "We can only stay for 5 minutes. Hurry!" As he climbed aboard, James felt a sense of dread wash over him. He was escaping the prison, but the world outside was a nightmare. The creatures were everywhere, and he was just one of the last survivors. As the helicopter lifted off, he looked back at the island, realizing he was not just leaving a prison behind. He was stepping into a world that had become a living hell, and the true horror was just beginning.